intro music. Yeah! Woohoo!
Zindy, launching here in 2024, has definitely stirred up a lot of the hornet's nest that is established players. And we talk about what can this game do to get better. And I mean better. Now, if you don't know, because I know not everybody comes and plays on new servers like I do, I tend to restart the game 1 or 2 times a year to experience what new players experience and talk to those players. And we have over 220,000 daily players in the game and all that neat stuff. But crazy enough, new players really enjoy the game because they don't have as many of the new loops, but they've got a very full game, tons of stuff to do. And then you run into the also established group. I talked about it on the live stream recently. There's 70,000 players in the 40s. Those are established, like your hardcore players been playing for years, right? So how can you make the game actually better beyond the general statements of fix the lag and fix bugs, right? And again, this is not to say that those two things aren't issues that players experience, because they absolutely are. They're very generic. And when we talk about what this needs to do, what this game needs to do to get better, we need specifics and we need ideas. So more than just this is how we do it. So here's how you do it. Number 1, comment. I want to know your level and your top 3 recommendations, like actual things you would like to see. I'm going to discuss some of the things that I brought up with game design about actually making the game more fun to play while also allowing for new loops, new grinds to get added. And the first thing you're probably going to say is, well, Rev, why would you ever argue for new things like Zindy to come out? Well, here's the skinny of it. And this is not something they're going to just come publicly out and explain, but I'll do it because I don't work for them and I can. New content makes money. You can't just, remember, Scopely not only got purchased, but Scopely has multiple investors, everything from Sony having a minor stake stock in their company to private investment. You can't just go to your people and be like, hey, we're just gonna kill 25% of our quarterly income by taking a month or 2 off and doing nothing but bug fixes. Yeah, that's never gonna get approved by management. So how do you realistically work around that if you are game design? This is the tricky thing, because you're gonna have people in game design and live ops who agree with players about things like grinds and issues, and then you're gonna have those who don't. And then you're gonna have people who are actually calling the shots who are worried about the revenue numbers. This is the thing that makes the gaming industry so fun.
You guys really don't know what you're doing, do you?
And I know that's not the word y'all want to use, but it's the truth of it. So you're never going to get away from new specialty ships, so maybe you can lower the amount that comes out in a year. Be looking for a new specialty ship very soon. You're never going to stop seeing new loops, but what if those loops, helped get past the outdated old ones beyond just efficiency researches? Because as game design in the conversation I was having with them noted, they've released entire sets of efficiency researches. In fact, a big point of the brand new X-Borg extension was efficiency for the 4 and 5 star economies. In fact, didn't really give anything to a 6-star player, at least not yet. Well, maybe one day.
It's so pathetic.
Yeah, so as we talk about this, let's talk about action points and action items. Those are things that we can actually make sure the game focuses on doing. And we talked about what made freebooters when they came out so fantastic. Y'all remember, if you were an established player in the game, you hit level 38 and your grind time, like the dailies that you had to do certain things, you went from an hour to 2 hours to instantly 15 minutes max and you were done. Like all your stuff was done. And that's actually a thing that I think that needs to get reinvested into here in 2024, because as they add new things, and I understand that as this game continues to try to maintain, survive, and grow, it has to continue to do the add things, and whether you agree with it or not, that's not going to stop. So how then do you take outdated loops and find a way to expedite, speed them up, get rid of them? Right, so let me show you some of the ideas that I personally threw to them. And that's not to say that these are like the best ideas or all things and everything. This is the whole point of the video, for you to provide action items. Remember, comment down below. I want to know your level and pick me 3 action items, like the biggest 3. That way I can take comments. And if we have 500-600 comments like we've had before, we can go and say, look, these are the things. And I didn't want to do a survey about this because y'all are going to give your thoughts on the survey as you do at the end of every month. But while we have game design's ear, let's at least try to throw in some things that I think are fantastic, potential. So for example, here's some of the things that I shot to them. Borg probes are a big grind in the game. And yet there's nothing here that helps with that. So Borg probes being included with a freebooter option. So basically adding in a couple new dailies That would then allow you to have extra Borg probes collected. Maybe have Hostile Harbinger and Faction Allegiance included in freebooters, which is something that many players have asked for quite some time, specifically talking about these down here. So if you scroll down, Hostile Harbinger does not count, so you still need to go hit 25 hostiles, and then you'll scroll down even further and you'll find other things that are good/bad. Freebooters, X-Borg, these are all great, but need to be expanded to include more things. And you'll also see little things like the Faction Allegiance not counting. And that's big because that's helping you get more of those credits you need for each faction, whether it be for officers or for ship acquisition or something else. There's other things technically you can get in that. So that was one of the conversations. And a big part of it was the faction rep grind. As you level higher in the game, here's something that's going to happen to you. You're going to need to grind rep. And you think grinding to 10 million that first time is tough. Wait till you're grinding to 1 billion or 15 billion or 500 billion to reach the lock that you need. Yet, if you're going through, and I was talking to game design about this, there was last week, I spent 5 hours on stream just grinding rep so that I could start preparing to go 50 plus. There's nothing in here that really helps with that. Sure, you do have some generic reputation-based ones, but 1.6 million when you're grinding to 1 billion ain't really helping. Or if you're grinding to 15 billion, that ain't really helping. So adding in more events that help with your rep grind as you level up and things like that to expedite older grinds. I would argue that factions are an old grind in Star Trek Fleet Command. Sure, you want to love on the Federation, the Romulans, and the Klingons. Who is your favorite? Comment down below. Wear your favorite t-shirt, wear your favorite hat. But at the end of the day, if you're in the 30s, 20s, and 40s, the whole name of the game now is specialty ships, like the Monavine or the Disco. Very important to get that done if you're a new player watching, or the Defiant. Literally, the name of the game has become specialty ships for most level ranges, and that has nothing to do with the factions you choose. So if you could expedite the factions, making it to where, sure, go after your Pylum and upgrade your Pylum. Love having a Pylum, your Valdor, your Legionary, your Enterprise A, your Enterprise D. All those are great, but the game, when it comes to like the things you have to do every day, the grinds, like the Borg Cube's Technological Distinctiveness grind, finding a way to mesh all this together to seamlessly give a player less of that mandatory grind, allowing them to focus on what they want to. Now, I do want to reiterate the point that I do agree with game design. Do not let fear of missing out make you feel like you need to do everything this game wants to do. Now, for the safety of this game designer, I'm not going to pass that around because I promise you, the game as a design wants fear of missing out to work. They want you to feel like you're missing out, so you level up and you spend the money.
We've got to have money.
And look, spend the money if you're happy. Spend the money if you're enjoying the game, but don't spend it for FOMO. Like, don't let the game fool you into thinking, well, if you don't do it now, you'll never get it, because everything becomes available at some point. So, with that in mind, we want to talk about expediting loops, expediting grinds, expediting free-to-play sourcing of things that need to have free-to-play sourcing, like certain primes that are 3 years old now. All of these things, I think, are paramount for the game becoming a truly better game. Now, that doesn't mean I'm trying to brush aside bugs and stability fixes. Those are huge. In fact, this week, as the wave defense is rolled out, we've run into more of the issues that we saw when wave defense first came out, which is double hostiles. Yeah, you seen that yet? If you haven't, clap your hands. I'm very happy for you, where you'll get double the hostiles spawning, and there'll be different types. So your ability to complete a wave now just became really struggle bus. And that means 4 players have essentially wasted their directives because they're not going to be able to complete it, even if they were before, just simply based on a volume metric. 8 ships can only do so much. So as we talk about what you can do, or 10 ships, sorry, I'm not including myself because typically I'm the support guy running around hitting traders because I can't do much for the big ones, but you know what I mean. So whether it's 10 ships, 8 ships, or whatever, the point being, there are definitely things that need to get addressed in the game. And if you want to add those in, feel free. But we are talking about finding things that are action items that can actually be done. Besides just generic statements like, hey, stop adding new content, focus on fixes. Okay, but focus on what exactly? Focus on what expedite. I don't think that Borg probes needs to be the heavy-handed thing that it is now, because if you want to maintain that grind, and if you want to go through and have sourcing for fleet commanders, you've got to do Borg probe grinding still. You have to go after Borg probes that you can do your solo runs and have your independent credit sourcing, your faction credit sourcing, to have the actual Talios leveled up to your max level for where you're at. You've got to do those grinds. And people can. But But again, if there was a way to expedite that, that way when new things came out, like Zindy, you wouldn't care if you spent 10, 15 or more minutes going through this because you knew that your dailies would cover the older things that had gotten dated. And again, they've done some things well in updating that. Freebooters was a great step in that direction. But in the same vein, we're talking about making this game more manageable for the average player because it is a mobile-based game, is taking content that's been out for a while and finding ways to expedite it. That isn't asking you to go through a freaking research tree. And I'm not even saying that the research is bad. Favors are great. I love the Bajoran favors. I love the X-Borg favors. But the reason that Freebooters was universally loved and got such a positive review back in March of 2023 through our surveys is because it lowered time on older loops, allowing you to then focus on the new content. That's a big deal. Why did the Borg cube fall flat? Because it has a huge loop and it doesn't pay out till later when you're like in the 50s and 60s and then you love it. That's why it fell flat, right? And Freebooters didn't fall flat. Freebooters felt like a re-energized, good feeling. And that's what players want, especially if you're talking about new grinds coming in the game, because whether we like it or not, they are, ladies and gentlemen. And sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. It's all about how they roll it out. So again, comment down below. And we're going to start this as a thing in terms of, we've done this before, but I'm going to actually compile this and then go to them with an actual report of, hey, let's talk about realistically getting these things done. Because I'll be honest, game design can talk to us content creators. I mean, the VIPs just had a meeting here recently where they'll talk about things. Some things are planned to roll out, like the G6 economy, painful. It won't be fixed for a while. They will get adjusted based on feedback, but if I was to say that those adjustments based on feedback were already going to happen in a certain time frame, yeah, it's all about the FOMO, right? And if you want to be somewhere, sometimes FOMO is real. But at the same time, there are other things that can be done to make things better. Let me know what you think. And we're going to take all this to them. And I'll even make a video projection, or I'm sorry, make a video of these slides and stuff that I'll put together. Y'all can see them yourself. And hopefully these hour-long discussions with game design that myself and others get to have and actually start seeing some fruition so that that quality over quantity actually takes place. Let me know what you think down below. Live long and plunder. Stay safe with the Space Cowboys. Deuces, that's me. Appreciate you. See ya on the next one.
An even better outro than the intro. For the Empire and glory to your house.